natural gas as alternative vehicular fuel. Now, I'll grant you, this very news is about 3 years old. You can see it right here. But I thought it was interesting, so I decided to bring it up. So, turns out the Nigerian government has been doing some things in the aspect of natural gas, that's compressed natural gas, and thinking about initiatives in converting a good chunk of the transportation sector to become dependent on natural gas as a way of contributing our own quota, as you might call it, to environmentalism. That's essentially what I've been able to come up with in considering this story. Now, they mentioned a couple of reasons why the nation might want to do that. That's Nigeria, why we might want to do that, and chief among that is environmentally friendly. That is, natural gas is environmentally friendly, and that's enough reason for us to go for it. Now, this is going into environmentalism, going into conservatism, going into making sure that we don't destroy the planet and things like that. It relates to global warming, climate change, things of that nature. So I guess it's a way for the nation to sort of join the remaining nations in the world, especially the developed nations around the world, like America, like the countries of Europe, like the United Kingdom, Germany, and the rest of them, in trying to at least curb the rate at which we release carbon into the atmosphere, that is carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, and all sorts. So we will, in a way, sort of reduce the rate at which the planet is warming up. So that's basically what it's about. So if you go for compressed natural gas, there is a high tendency, not just ordinary high tendency, scientifically speaking, it is going to produce less carbon dioxide, less carbon monoxide, whatever you want to call it. Any sort of oxide of carbon is going to be limited if you use natural gas. So you're not going to be having residues of carbon so much at the end of the process of combustion of natural gas as you might have, and as we usually do have, if you use gasoline or diesel or kerosene. So now, down here, they're making the case here. They say the challenges of global warming have compelled the quest for cleaner, better, and safer fuels that would not be injurious to the ecosystem. Now, again, I've already stated that it's basically about the environment. That's just what it's about. Basically about the environment. In further videos, in future videos, I'm going to be speaking more on environmentalism. So for those of you that don't really understand what I'm talking about, you will get it later on. So, and the next reason is cheaper fuel source. That is, this CNG, compressed natural gas, is actually a cheaper source because essentially Nigeria, we burn off, they call it flare off so much of the natural gas during the drilling process, during crude oil drilling process. So, it's so abundant that we just waste it. We just burn it off. It's so abundant. It's so abundant that we just burn it off. So, if this thing is so abundant, it means it probably is going to be cheaper. Excess supply means lower price. Demand and supply, remember. So now, that's what it's about. So, cheaper fuel source. So, it's basically a source of cheaper fuel. So, then that's also a very good reason for us to go for compressed natural gas. Here it says, experts said CNG is a cheaper on a mile-to-mile basis than petrol by as much as 50% and more than 80% compared to diesel. While the current price of PMS, that's petrol, per liter is 145 naira, that's currently, a metro cube cost of CNG is 95 naira in Lagos and Benin. So I guess it's actually cheaper. It's actually cheaper. So yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. It's a good point. But now here we go to the cons, the problems relating to compressed natural gas, or converting your vehicle to compressed natural gas, or at least trying to get a good chunk of the Nigerian transportation sector to convert and shift over to compressed natural gas. And what are those? The first one is that CNG cars are very expensive. These things are done expensive. They're not cheap. They're very expensive. They need special parts. They need special hardware to be able to handle natural gas. Most vehicles use gasoline or diesel. But these ones, in order for you to be able to have a CNG vehicle, you need special parts for it. So that makes it a whole lot more expensive. And since the market size or the market share for it is not very large, so it means it's going to be a lot expensive. Now, conversion to CNG is expensive also. So if you're going to be converting your gasoline vehicle to CNG, it's tremendously expensive. Like tremendously expensive. Like really, really expensive. Now, in this place it says the minimum cost of conversion is 200,000 naira or $1,000, and private vehicle owners are required. Again, $1,000 is no longer 200,000 naira. It's more than that now. But anyways, and private vehicle owners are required to make a down payment of $40,000 naira. That's $200 or 20% of cost, while owners of vehicles used for commercial purposes such as taxis are required to make a down payment of 80,000 naira or $400 or 40%. The loan repayment is through a price adjustment mechanism during refilling. So it's terribly expensive. I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to convince a regular guy on the street to do this, to go through this in order to convert his vehicle, maybe his Golf vehicle, and convert it into compressed natural gas enabled. Okay, maybe you're even able to convince him to do that. And at the end of the day, the guy asks, how much is it going to cost me? And you're like, oh yeah, well above 200,000 naira. And this guy says, oh, thank you very much. I don't need it no more. I simply don't need it anymore. So, go away. So, that's a very big problem. First, I said that it's very expensive. Those that come with compressed natural gas systems are very expensive. Those vehicles are very expensive, which automatically means only rich people are going to be getting those vehicles to start with. And then converting a regular good old gasoline vehicle to CNG in order to save some mileage, in order to save some fuel and get some fuel economy, is probably not even worth it in some cases because it's so expensive and it's probably well out of the range of what an average man can handle in this country. So that's one of the problems.